Hello, everyone. Thank you very much to Tim Green and imimobile. What a fantastic session. I learned so much myself about all the various channels and the rules and the regs and everything like that. Now, next up, we have Michael Power from Engage Mobile, looking at what business cases will be hot in 2021. Michael, great to see you. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Fantastic. And you're joined by a fantastic selection of people from across the industry, including reps from 3 sponsors. So I'll hand it over to you now, sir. Enjoy your session. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, James. Thank you. And welcome, everybody, to this session. We're going to have a look. We've heard a lot today around how messaging can be used and how it's being used over the last few years and how brands are starting to make the most of it. In this session, we thought what we'll look at is how can brands make the most out of all of these fantastic technologies over the next 12 months. And in 2021, if you should be thinking about nothing else when it comes to business messaging, what are the use cases you should be looking at? So today, it's certainly been a tough year for a lot of brands. And as they're looking at this, the light at the end of the tunnel is starting to shine, and business leaders are starting to look at that road to recovery. And so we felt this session was essentially really well timed, really, to help those brands as they're looking at business messaging. And as we've seen today, there's quite a lot of complexity to the different channels and different options that are available. So today we're going to have a look at, in the next 40 minutes, what are the sales and marketing use cases? What are the business process automation and the customer service areas that these fantastic technologies can start to help us with? So the first guest I'd like to bring to the room is Alex Cambell from imimobile. Can you add in Alex for us? Hi, Alex. Do you want to give us a quick intro to yourself and what you do and your organisation?
Yeah, of course. Hi, Mike. My name's Alex. I'm responsible for the sales function here for imimobile in Europe. We provide a number of different platforms that let our customers communicate with their customers for purposes of marketing, for sort of IT operations, and for with contact center. So across the whole kind of suite of services that a customer needs to communicate with their customers.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alex. Next up, we've got Matt Ramerman from Sinch. Could you bring in Matt for us?
Good morning, Michael.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. My name's Matt Ramerman. I have the privilege of leading Sinch for Marketing. We're a team of specialists inside of Sinch, and our mission is to help marketing teams adopt mobile messaging to help transform brand experience, reduce churn, and drive ARPU.
Great. Thank you. Next, we've got Kreso Zmak from Infobip.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kreso from Infobip. Nice to see you all. Senior Director of Products, responsible for our software as a service proposition, as well working with all the new emerging channels we are helping our clients grow.
Great stuff. Thank you. Great to see you. Milind Pathak from Root Mobile. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me around here. Hi, guys. My name is Milind Pathak. I'm the Chief Business Officer with Root Mobile, and I'm tasked in ensuring that I help our clients in this whole journey of digital transformation using communication channels and slowly moving communication channels into consumer experience or customer experience channels. So as we go.
Great. Thank you very much. And then finally, we've got David Attenborough from Commify, who I will also hand over to give us a brief intro and frame some of our conversation with a bit of research that Commify have been doing. So, Dave, over to you.
Yeah, hi, Mike. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Attenborough. I'm Head of Product for Commify. So, look, my job is to understand the communication needs of businesses and then bring that insight back to work with the talented engineering teams at Commify and with our industry partners in order to deliver high quality solutions to market communication challenges. So I'm delighted to be invited along this afternoon to talk about customer use cases because that's what I live for, right? I'm also really excited to share with you today some of the findings from our mobile messaging adoption report that we're sharing with the industry for the first time this week. We ran a big survey and we asked the market about their use cases, right? We asked them about the problems that our industry helps businesses to solve, So that's perfect for today's agenda, right? So let me share a few of those highlights with you now. Jesse, if you could pop the slides up, thank you. So we'll move straight into the first slide then. Thanks, Jesse. Great. And what you can see here is that we've surveyed 7 markets in collaboration with our partners at PricewaterhouseCoopers. We talked to just under 4,500 businesses across Europe. And we think this is one of the biggest surveys of this type that's been conducted recently. And we found that, first of all, the good news, mobile messaging is widely accepted, and it's used across businesses of all shapes and sizes across all industries, right? With just under half of the respondents to our survey using mobile messaging. And that's great news, because that means half of them are not yet using mobile messaging, right? Now, as you might expect, penetration was lower in SMEs than it was in enterprise. And we looked at businesses with 250 employees or less as our classification for SME. So that's perhaps what you'd expect, right? Because SMEs are maybe a little less sophisticated. They're less likely to be technology adopters. Perhaps their use cases are less complex. But we think that's going to change. The other kind of high-level observation here, you'll notice that adoption is lower in some markets than in others. Now, my hypothesis here is that this is linked to the price of mobile messaging, and particular to the price of SMS. So perhaps something for the mobile operators and supply chain partners to think about there. Jesse, if we move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. Now, the gap in mobile messaging usage between SMEs and enterprise was quite stark, as you saw on the last slide, but it is closing, right? Over half of businesses that are intending to use mobile messaging in the next 2 or 3 years are in fact smaller businesses. And I think that that's going to be accelerated as we see a lot of our major markets try and recover from a year in lockdown. Next slide, please. So onto the use cases. I'll try and start by answering Mike's question, right? Which use cases are going to be hot in 2021, right? We identified from our survey respondents that there are over 80 different applications for business mobile messaging. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but I wanted to talk you through our classification. We've boiled it down to 10 major use case types. And then we've put those 10 use case types into 3 different categories. So we have marketing and campaigns, we have customer communications, and we have business operations. Now, marketing and campaigns tends to be one-to-many use cases, right? Bulk campaigns. Some of them might be event-driven, some of them might be about market research or data capture. But generally, what unites all of these use cases is that they are bulk marketing in design. Within the customer communications category, this is where you find a lot more one-to-one communication, either for customer support or for notifications and reminders, which is a huge category. Also, as we've seen over the last year, emergency communications and alerts has really come to the fore. Then finally, we found a lot of survey respondents are using messaging in a number of different ways to support their business operations. Some of the time this is for internal communications, but a lot of the time this is about customer-facing business processes and the management of those processes. Might include payments and collections, might include identity and verification. 2FA, for example, is in that category. But that's our overall classification of the uses of business mobile messaging in the markets that we've surveyed. We jump onto the next slide, please. This is my answer to the question, right? These are the 5 most popular use cases for mobile messaging right now. So these are the ones that are hot right now, Mike. And it's probably no surprise that emergency comms and alerts is at the top of the table, given the year that we've had. I don't think there's too many surprises in the rest of this top 5. Event-driven marketing and marketing campaigns you'd expect to feature in there alongside notifications and reminders, which is absolutely huge. But business process management, I mean, that's there in the table, but really that's a number of different applications for business messaging that we've grouped together. So perhaps it's punching above its weight in terms of the individual use cases that are part of that category. So if we move on to the next slide, this I think is the most exciting thing that came out of our survey. And that is that once established, messaging becomes the #1 communication channel for businesses using any of the 10 use case categories that we identified, right? It's overtaking email, web chat, call centers. And I think this is an incredible testament to the power of mobile messaging channels, right? So once again, where we or another mobile messaging provider have managed to explain to a customer how to use mobile messaging, it's very quickly become their channel of choice. And so I think that's really exciting and supports opportunities for further growth for our industry. So next slide, please. And I'll just summarize the points from our survey. Great news is mobile messaging is widely accepted, but there's still plenty of opportunity for growth, particularly with SMEs. And then once established, mobile messaging becomes the brand's favorite communication method. And I think that's something that we should all feel incredibly proud of, and we should be excited about the opportunities. We found similar findings across all of the 7 markets that we surveyed. And if we go to my final slide, just want to thank you for listening, really. I hope you found some of our insight helpful, thought-provoking. If you'd like to know more, check out the white paper we'll be releasing later this week, or reach out to us directly if there's anything that I've highlighted today that you want to discuss. But with that, I'll hand back to Mike for the first question to the panel. Thanks very much.
Right. Thank you for that, Dave. Much appreciated. And I think it's really interesting, having just seen the findings you guys have come up with, massively corroborates what Nick Lane was talking about earlier, where actually there's still this huge opportunity for SMS. And again, I think that's exciting for all of us in this panel today. So that does lead us nicely on to looking at the opportunity there then. So, but also how can we, you say sort of sales and marketing, but what does that break down to when we're looking at use cases for that brands can actually implement today? So things using SMS, should they use RCS? Should they use WhatsApp? And I think, Matt, if I can hand that over to you for a bit of an opener on sales and marketing and the messaging platforms that you guys provide. How should a brand really start taking advantage of this today?
Thanks, Michael. Well, we've worked pretty extensively across the entire life cycle, supporting everything from onboarding to upsell, mid-tenure upsell, all the way through contract extension. And when we talk to enterprises, particularly ones that adopting messaging to support marketing initiatives, we usually push them towards sort of the end caps of the customer journey as a place to start. This is, in our view, the lowest hanging fruit, particularly with onboarding, providing customers with summary of their services, orientation of what's available to them, and then key next steps are an extremely potent place to start. And in terms of channels and tools, we're fairly agnostic when it comes to channels. We're focused on what channels have the greatest reach with a segment or in the market, but I can say that we have a pretty strong bias towards channels that can deliver rich media, rich messaging. So, for example, here in the US, most of our customer journey programs leverage MMS channel. And the format is largely using personalized video and dynamic images as a way to touch and onboard.
Great. And our consumers, or certainly the customers you're working with, are they seeing the return on investment from using those channels? I mean, certainly spoken about today, some of those richer channels, that either the cost models are still perhaps a little bit in flux, or they are slightly more. But is the return on investment is it justified?
Yeah, I mean, I was smiling when listening to the research, because our customers would all say the same thing, that the messaging channels and the programs that they're running are by far and away the highest return on marketing investment from any channel that they're leveraging, including email. So it's not even close. It's very significant and transformative for the enterprise.
Great, thank you. Alex, maybe if I hand over to you. So do you think on this sales and marketing side of things, does this vary based on the industry or the geographic region, perhaps the types of use cases that brands are using, or actually do you see this as being pretty common regardless of what territory you work in, operate in?
I don't think. I think across territory, I think we're seeing sort of similar use cases coming up, sort of across the board. I think definitely by different industries have got different drivers. So whether that's restaurants and fast food chains, sending out promos and adverts over new comms channels, whether that's MMS in the US, which I still love, or the new channels such as RCS, where we've had a couple of good case studies for sending out kind of promos on behalf of brands. I think you've also got some, on top of sort of mobile messaging now, you've got some really new interesting features that are coming out, such as, chat suggest on Apple, which enables you to, as a business, you're searching to try and find and discover a business. You want to see if it's shop open, or you want to go to a retailer and find out, have they got something. When you search for them now, you can promote a link to start a chat with them and start a conversation with them in a different way. And I think that's opening up new opportunities to allow businesses to engage with customers and providing new discovery methods to start that conversation. And I think I've seen one or two. We've worked on 1 or 2 implementations of that at the moment. I think that's going to grow quite significantly, and I think that's a really, really exciting sort of use case opportunity for sales and marketing.
Oh, it's interesting that you're sort of talking about the use of messaging, and actually that's starting to blend almost into customer service. And I mean, I had looked at trying to tackle these 3 areas separately, but maybe actually the way you've just described that, actually what we're seeing is these are I'm going to have to slightly rejig my notes to try and make sure I keep up with it. But actually, the way you've described that is this is now starting to blend into, so process automation and customer service is almost like the natural evolution of the marketing and that onboarding journey. Well,
I think you've got to consider the kind of whole sort of life cycle of that customer as well in this, because it is, yes, a large part of chat is going to be on customer service, but if you can engage in a conversation with the customer up front, either through kind of on the sales process, then you can provide revenue and results at that point as well, and that's going to add a lot more value. Albeit we've got some great examples of push notifications being used around location, especially associated with the app in the UK, where you can send out notifications on walking past a business to trigger an engagement with them as well. So I definitely think that these tools can be used on the sales and marketing side of things, not just on customer service.
Yeah. So, Kreso, from your experience, I know Infobip has got a pretty advanced platform for pulling all of these bits together. To be fair, same as everybody at this on this panel today. But how are you seeing the sort of let's move on to that sort of process automation side of things, and sort of moving beyond just sales and marketing based messaging? How are you? Well, first of all, what use cases are you seeing are quite common within your organization and your customers? And how is it that your platform and your business's approach is able to help brands leverage those new opportunities?
Yeah, thanks for the question, and I would follow up what Matt and Alex emphasized and what the Dave's survey showed. Basically, today the key thing is to cover the whole customer journey. So it should be looked as a whole, as a single thing. So customer experience starts from the first message that you exchange over in the market or in engagement, and continues over the onboarding process, purchase, payment, onboarding, and continues during the customer support. So it is crucial to have the whole communication. If we are talking about communication, the whole communication should be streamlined within a single flow and executed within a single platform, or to have a single customer data platform to collect all the events, all the data. Because it's not acceptable that you, and has been mentioned already today several times, that you are executing a marketing campaign while in the same time there is a different department executing a late payment campaign, or you are complaining about the quality of service, and then there is another again marketing campaign launch. So we see brands started to using digital channels across the customer journey, again from engagement, which is pure marketing, or engagement, re-engagement, through the purchase process. So with payments being introduced on many of the channels, you can complete the whole purchase within a single place, and then going on into the customer support part of the customer journey.
Okay, I mean, you raised a really interesting problem there, which was if you've got different use cases or activating at the same time using the different tools that you've got. So in that scenario, perhaps you've got a customer service conversation going on at the same time as you said, a marketing message comes out, or some other sort of business notification. How are you? How do you help a customer orchestrate that? Because that sounds like quite a complex set of challenges to try and manage. How does that manifest in a real world?
Yeah, that's where we are building the platform in a way that we have a customer data platform, a CDP as the bottom line, where all the data, so be it demographic data and information about the end users, goes into, but more importantly, all the events happening within a company ecosystem, website, all the channels, they're all going into a single CDP platform. And then based on that, a contact center solution, a chatbot building platform, or a marketing automation tool are consuming that data. So they're all in sync. So you have a blockage if you try to execute a marketing campaign, but somebody is, let's say, doing he's in a late payment, or he's complaining about something. So this is the idea. Furthermore, the power of a CDP, a centralized CDP, is that you can do personalization and profiling, which is critical today for the customer experience. Because one thing is cutting the cost with choosing the optimal channel, but then having exceptional customer experience is the second KPI the majority of the brands is looking at. So once you have the CDP, you have a single person profile, you can really tailor the experience to that person. That comes into some previous questions, because the channel that somebody will use, the content within that channel, and the time of the day that the content would be delivered should be personalized. It will heavily depend on the region where the person lives in, but more importantly, it will be tailored to his personal preferences. So that's how the brands should build their experience with their clients, and that's how the platforms should be built to help the enterprises.
So essentially, you're capturing the data, you're being able to bring that all into your platform, and then that then helps with orchestrating the various messages from there. Okay, well, I mean, thank you for that. And Milind, if I can ask you how you guys at Root Mobile, how are you tackling? So again, I appreciate we've sort of moved very quickly from sales and into process automation there. And I know that at Root you cover quite a lot of those different. You've got some great tools for covering those use cases. Do you want to talk us through what you see in the areas that you guys are focused on and the tooling that you provide?
Sure, Mike. Thanks. So I think most of my friends in the industry have touched multiple points across, right? I think the way we are seeing the evolution of the market, if I have to draw a parallel with the internet classic, and if I have to cite examples coming from China, Alibaba is a very big giant, and Pinduoduo was able to really kind of attack it big time, while it's still small at about $9 billion of revenue. It moved the paradigm in China from search to browsing, Now that's a massive shift on internet, right? That you are trying to capture a customer when he's browsing and not necessarily searching. And this is a very, very subtle movement. We are seeing the same movement on communication, from clear, pure communication to end customer experience with the brand that you interact, right? So I very much agree with Krej that the whole focus on the communication side is emerging towards customer experience, right? And in our experience, the brand is managing this customer experience by doing multiple channels at the same time. And how they're doing it, in our experience, is that I have spent almost 10 years in marketing and advertising on the digital media side. Today, I see almost 85 to 90% of the campaigns are having endpoints of communication, either in the form of lead form fill, or in the form of reach me out for a test drive, or landing onto a commerce page of a brand.com, or leading into a checkout page which they have flagged in one of their e-commerce journeys, and so on and so forth, right? So more and more advertising is leading into endpoint of communication. With that, what happens is that the communication platform is able to offer a true blood, unified and democratized service. So I land into a use case of, say, acquiring a customer through maybe a WhatsApp. I communicate with him, and I am then able to perhaps even talk to him with a video call. I am successfully able to convert that sale on a video call. I am then able to send him a link via an SMS or a WhatsApp to complete the transaction. And post the transaction is complete, I'm able to also communicate back to him through any of the messaging channels, which is the most cost-effective down there. It could be as simple as SMS, or it could be as complicated as absolutely seamless, just authentication at the back end, and the customer getting a WhatsApp or whatever email on that effect, right? So not only are we seeing omni-channel emergence, we are also seeing multi-channel emergence in the same client, and the same brand is now touching the customer in multiple channels, right? I can give you so many examples within the emerging market around here. One of the cosmetic brand had solved a problem. They observed that the malls was empty during the COVID period. There was nobody who was traveling, but they had these beauty advisors who were sitting at home. So what the brand did was ensured that they ran a campaign of attracting the consumers to seek their appointment with the beauty advisor, and it was a telephonic videophonic, if that's a word. It's a video appointment that the beauty advisors had with that customer, and on a predefined time, the beauty advisor called up the customer, engaged with the customer, recommended a product, and the product was shipped home. Now, this kind of a use case was unheard of or not even tried. But we are seeing that communication platforms are able to provide such use cases around there, right? So we are really seeing the world in this manner, clearly saying consumer experience will remain the forefront. And that movement is very, very clear in our mind, and we are clearly seeing it across the markets that we observe and play with.
Brilliant. So again, I mean, I think that again just reinforces that actually what we're seeing as what would have traditionally perhaps been a sales and marketing activity is then turning into, again, a kind of a more prolonged communication activity where you're speaking to the customers, and then ultimately that results in a sale, which again then perhaps triggers more messages out to the customer to confirm the order, and if we're using a channel like RCS, maybe provide complementary purchase items to purchase. So actually, again, that's sales and marketing, even just by using omni-channel and using different channels, we're seeing a real kind of blend of processes there.
Yeah,
okay,
it's not only sales and marketing, Mike. It's also sales and marketing, but I would want to use paid and organic together in a very big manner, right? So our friends gave an example of Google, right? So Google messaging at the outlet of the brand, now you're able to combine a shopping ad with a messaging with the store. Now this really unlocks the power for the retail outlet, unlocks the power for the brand, at the same time unlocks the power for the consumer, because now to the nearby store or a neighborhood store, the consumer is able to communicate on a WhatsApp or an RCS or a GBM chat and order, ask, inquire, and so on, so many options that's available around there. So it's and mind you, I think the amount of acceleration that all of us, and I think the whole panel will agree with me, COVID has really accelerated this journey big time.
Yeah, so that, well, again, I think that's come out throughout the sessions today is how much, I think, from, was it 20% of uplift of SMS that Nick Lane was saying about potentially this morning. So again, huge volumes, and again, I think it's quite an exciting opportunity for all of us here. So just to wrap up, we've got about sort of 9 minutes left, and I will come to, we've had a couple of questions in the chat, so we'll move on to them shortly before we finish. But just to focus a bit on customer service then. So we've spoken there about obviously seeing how we can drive sales, how we can use the channels for communicating. But when it comes to customer service then, and the automation and bots, again, to be fair, I know all of you at this table have a various approach to this. So I'm just sort of thinking, where should I pass this to? I think, Alex, we started with you. So let's, you can start on this session, and we'll see if there's time for anyone else to add some comments. But how do you guys view this, customer service and bots? And
you're on mute. I think some of the common challenges I think that we all see in the industry are that customer services complaints these days take place in social media channels, and brands do not like that. That's not a great place and platform to be able to manage and a good customer experience if customers are complaining in social. Complaints have driven, and COVID, various other different things have driven call volumes into contact centres, and contact centres have struggled to cope, especially with staff being redeployed at home and various other different things, and technology not being fully in the cloud yet. And both of those two things lend themselves very, very well to messaging, and the ability to seamlessly move a customer from to perform an IVR deflection, to move a customer into a messaging channel, or to have an SMS conversation, or to another channel such as WhatsApp, is a great use case for mobile messaging and business chat. And I think the same when it comes from social media. If you can move a customer from social media into business messaging channel, then you can service the customer much, much better. And on top of that, if you can add authentication into that channel, so if you can then add the ability for a customer to log into that channel, or to provide some means to take the customer through 3 questions or passwords or OTPs or whatever, and then be able to serve them once they're authenticated, which we've got some great examples of, you're going to end up with a much better customer experience, first contact resolution. All those great things are going to be solved, and I think there's some good examples of where mobile messaging can help there.
Brilliant. And does anyone else want to have a comment before we go to questions? Does anyone else want to throw in their sort of final comment on customer service, and perhaps how your organisation is seeing that evolve?
I'll just maybe comment and build on what Alex said, and what's already been covered is this incredible blurring of lines between marketing and service, where the two are so clearly intertwined. And largely we're seeing it because of the marketing teams now taking on churn reduction as being one of their primary KPIs, automatically pushes them into service. And so where we come in is providing the messaging channel and ensuring that we have channel continuity between what is the marketing touch that can also be the service channel at the same time, and then being able to layer in AI or conversational technologies behind that, so you can essentially maintain an always-on status.
Great stuff. Yeah, I think it's certainly very exciting seeing how all of these different products that you're all producing are enabling that move from a traditional marketing campaign, whether that's via SMS, RCS, WhatsApp, or otherwise. That then leads over into the bot tools and the two-way chat products that I've seen that then really drive customer service, perhaps link into CRM systems and all of that kind of stuff. And then the bot and automation technologies that then, again, all of this sitting across multiple channels. Milind, as you said, sort of, the conversation that goes from messaging into video, and then back into messaging again, or the Alex, you just highlighted IVR deflection, so taking a voice call and moving that across to a messaging channel. All of these things are super exciting. I think what we've described today is the definition of conversational commerce and how that's really starting to drive the industry. So with the couple of minutes we've got left, we have got a question which Dave, I think will probably be for you, which was Indipal from .go. Great to see you. Thank you. Glad you're watching today, Indipal. Very interesting survey and shows great potential. Interesting that 2FA/OTP, so one-time passcodes, didn't figure in the top 5 use cases. What percentage of traffic did you find being taken by OTP, or how would you tackle that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks. 2FA is a major contributor within the identity and verification category that you would have seen on my my wheel chart there. So it's driving a lot of the traffic within that category. If you want more details about some of the breakdown, feel free to reach out to the Ascendex team. I don't think we have time to get into that kind of detail right now.
Great, thank you. Well, certainly, Indipal, we can obviously hook you guys up after this. I'm sure you can actually use the streaming, the platform that MEF are using today, which seems like a pretty good video conference platform. So, well, let's wrap up then. So, unless anyone's got any final comments, what I'll do is, I think it's worth us just reflecting on what we've seen today. There are some huge opportunities. So for us that work in the industry, the opportunity is very clear. There are plenty of brands out there that either aren't using messaging today or maybe just not making the most of it. The organizations that are all present today, you've seen that they've all got some really exciting experience in how to drive organizations forward. And as we see this road to recovery from COVID, I think that business messaging has shown over the last 12 months that it really is going to be one of the critical components to making the most of this recovery for a lot of organizations in a lot of sectors. So with that, I know we've got some really exciting presentations. There's a jury's out session this afternoon, which I'll be a part of, which sounds like could be a bit of an exciting 2-minute popularity contest type session, but hopefully we won't make too much of a fluff of that. But I'd just like to say thank you very much to the panel. So Alex Cambell from IMI, Matt Ramerman from Sinch, Milind Pathak from Root Mobile, Kreso, Zmak from Infobip, and Dave, thank you again for your presentation from Commify. That's much appreciated. So with that, we'll wrap up, and thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks,
Take
Mike.
care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.